What is motherhood? It's a hard question. I would say motherhood is being the most loving, caring, and supportive person.
Motherhood is a responsibility. If you bring children into the world, they are your responsibility.
It's a blessing. It was a blessing to me to have my son.
Motherhood to me is having that unconditional best friend.
That's what motherhood is. It's knowing the real version of love is what it is to be a mother.
What is motherhood? It's a hard question. I was excited, but I was also scared all at the same time. And I did the test and I came out of the bathroom and he's like, okay, what does it say? And I'm like, it's positive. Our life literally changed in an instant. It was crazy. So that's pretty much what him and I were like, all right, like we can do this. We'll just figure it out. It's hard to describe. I started to feel pregnant was when I felt her kick for the first time. I was just really nauseous and I hated the smell of coffee, which was horrible because I am such a coffee drinker. I was in labor for 36 hours. And I was pushing for 3 hours. I was so relieved that it was done. I felt proud of myself. It was almost like an out-of-body experience, if that makes sense. Because I felt like empowered. Because I was like, I can't believe I just did that. Like I just gave birth to a human. And she was so small, she was only 6 pounds when she was born. So when I went to the doctors, they told me that she was underweight. And then I was also thinking about like, I'm such a bad mom, I'm not feeding her. Especially because I was having a hard time breastfeeding. I was having a lot of people tell me to do this thing and tell me to do that thing and tell me to do this and give her the Bika, don't give her the Bika, try formula, try this, try that. And it came to a point where I was like, I just need everybody to shut up and stop telling me what to do. What do you say? What is motherhood? I would say motherhood is being the most loving, caring, and supportive person. I don't know, it's a blessing, it's a curse all at the same time because you give so much of self away. I imagine her being very bubbly, being very smiley. I imagine her with this beautiful long brown hair and these like hazel eyes because she's getting the hazel from her dad. But honestly, I can't even look like in her teenage years. Like right now, it stops like toddler. That's as far as I can see right now. And I don't even want to see any further than that because to me, that means she's growing up too fast.
Motherhood, that was one of my best accomplishments in life. Motherhood is a responsibility. If you bring children into the world, they are your responsibility. Some people are born with my eye condition, it's RP, retinitis pigmentosa. I have a lot of friends that have the same eye condition and they were born blind right from birth. At the time I could see my children still. Now my vision has deteriorated where things are, fuzzier. Growing up as a parent, having a disability, and knowing that my vision was going to deteriorate, it made me enjoy and appreciate the moments that I had with them even more. I really didn't worry about things until I had to deal with them. Technology, it's wonderful, but you have to have patience when you're doing things.
Call an IRA agent, describe scene.
All right, I'll do describe scene. We'll see what it describes. All right, it takes a picture, and then it'll describe things. But again, you always gotta wait. A person holding a camera. A lot of the things I had gone through, raising my children, and just going through the process of having a disability and adjusting with it and just going with it and working with it, because there are issues. There's a lot of frustration. Sometimes growing up with my children, I couldn't read the thermometer to take their temperature. I found ways to clip their fingernails and file them, like all the little small detailed things that you do for your children. And I know sometimes I would say something to them and they would stick their tongue out knowing that I couldn't see them. And I would say, as they're behind me, and I know you guys are probably making faces and doing all kind of things, but you know what? You'll be punished. Karma, what goes around comes around, so you have to be nice to you. So I would use a lot of that to kind of, but they were good kids. A lot of people get angry and they just shut down. I'm the opposite. If you give me a challenge, I'm gonna meet that challenge. It's like, if I have a fear, I don't like to run from my fears. I'm gonna figure out a way to get it done. It may not be done the way someone with 20/20 vision would get it done, but I would get it done in my way. My children always used to say, Mommy, we can't leave you. You don't see very well. No, you know what? You're not here to take care of me. You're here to live your life. You do whatever you need to do. I will always find my way. I did well before you came along, and I will continue to do well. And it never ends. Motherhood never ends.
I don't think we ever stop. Even now, at my age, the instinct that's in you that you're being a mother is still it's difficult to give it up. But I think it's just natural. I was 28 when I got married. I got married in June, and the following September, the following year, my son was born. Well, I guess I had missed a couple of periods, and I got kind of concerned. I don't think in those days we had tests and things like you have today. I was excited, very excited to know that I was pregnant, and then I was anxious to find out, was it a boy or a girl? And those days, it was when things were going bad in Europe or something. They had a disease going on, and some of the children were born without an arm or without fingers and things like that. And I was so afraid that something like that would happen to mine. And I remember when the doctor put him on my stomach, I was checking his fingers and see if he had 10 fingers, 10 toes. I mean, it sounds silly today, but those were things in those days that's what was happening to the poor babies that were born at that time. Everything turned out very well, very well. The thing that kind of hurt me a little bit is that when he left for college, and it was very difficult, my only child, going away to South Carolina, but that was his decision. It's a blessing. It was a blessing to me to have my son. He has 2 daughters, and they're both married. I just became a great grandmother. I think giving of yourself to your children, of everything that you were brought up with, hopefully they will do the same.
I went to the pharmacy. It did come out positive because I had already been trying for 2 years. I didn't believe the test. I had to go get a blood test. And yes, I do remember the moment. It was the happiest day of my life. Life is a struggle. It's how you face it and how you accept it to change it. After I lost my children, I didn't know my own name. I didn't know who I was anymore. But it was the judge's decision to take them. So there was nothing I could possibly do. They wanted to give me something to take the pain away. I didn't realize at the time, and it took the pain away, and that's when my addiction began. It was an escape. I wasn't crying myself to sleep any longer, but it was only numbing me. It wasn't fixing my life. And it was when I got to a really bad point in my life where my mom looked at me and she said, I can't do this anymore with you. It's me or your drugs. And that was the day I quit. It impacted because I think that if I wasn't trying to escape, maybe I could have fought for a different shot to be able to get my children. I didn't see my children basically until after they were 18. My son is incarcerated due to addiction, the choices he's made. And my daughter is actually becoming a first-time mom right now. That's why I took so much to this job, is because it made me learn a lot about my child as well. I know what it's like to be addicted. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to have the barriers in front of me. For me, motherhood, it's still being there when they need you and picking that phone up and saying, Ma, I need help, or Mom, I just need to talk, or I'm having a difficult day. Motherhood to me is having that unconditional best friend.
Unconditional love. I don't think I've ever loved somebody the way I love my kids. And I don't think that I've ever experienced the amount of love I experience with my kids. I'm gonna say a lot of moms are afraid to be a single mom. Honestly, it is scary, but you know what? I learned to depend on myself. I learned to grow up, and because when I was with my daughter's father, he made sure I was good and my daughter was good. So to me, that was enough. So when I had to be on my own and literally learn on my own, I was like, oh, I got this. It was kind of an eye-opening, because it makes you feel like empowered. You got this, like you don't need a man to be good. I think as women, when we have our kids, we want to reflect the best version of ourselves, because we don't want anybody saying we're not doing a good enough job for our kids. And in a society where everybody's so quick to judge and want to take your kids away, you have to always portray the best part of yourself. Am I more confident as a parent now? Absolutely. I will not let anybody get in my way when it comes to my kids. But am I the best mom in the world? No, I have my flaws. And that's all I can do, is try to be the best mom I can be. That's what motherhood is. It's knowing the real version of love is what it is to be a mother.